okay? In 8 years, Boko Haram destroyed Nigeria. Sote, the northern Nigeria, is the most hit. Before Boko Haram, the old Kainji Dam was generating over 1,000 megawatts of electricity. There's another one called Shiroro Dam in Niger State. Shiroro Dam was also generating over like 1,000 megawatts as well. Steady. Then Boko Haram started. Boko Haram guys, they constantly, right, bomb that Shiroro, bomb everything around it, destroy the infrastructure all the time. Boko Haram couldn't, for the sake of northern Nigeria, protect those infrastructures. For the sake of northern Nigeria. Obasanjo started about 11 independent power stations, power plants across Nigeria. But most of them are in the southern part of Nigeria. True. But because what they have succeeded in doing is that Nigeria is a quota system country. So the electricity generated from southern part of Nigeria, they have a way of transmitting them straight to northern Nigeria. So before Yaradua came, Obasanjo's power plants, they were like over 50% completed. When Yaradua came, he cancelled everything and left it undone until he died. So Egbere Jolantan now started like working on some of these power plants, enough that they could get some of them still working. Others, in fact, they actually sold them. They sold some of them, or probably all of them. Yeah, they sold them. But with the conditions that they will still have to transfer the electricity to northern Nigeria, most of them. That's why you are hearing the Ohaji, Enugu, all these other power plants transmitting or transferring electricity to northern Nigeria, because the Kainji and Shiroro, they have become almost obsolete as we speak. Infrastructures built for like about 50, 60 years ago. No real investment to upgrade them, improve the whole thing. It was just like until everything will collapse. In Nigeria, they will be allocating money for its maintenance, and that money continue to go into the private pockets. So one of the horrible things that religion, as well as terrorism, have done to northern part of Nigeria is not just the destruction of the food supply, the food chain, it's also the destruction of critical infrastructures like power. No real improvements. And wherever they have there, they continue to destroy them even till today. And when Jonathan came for these terrorists, there was like a consensus among these terrorists of northern Nigeria, the political class, to shield and protect these armed Fulani, Boko Haram terrorists of the north, with the same entitlement that Nigeria must give them power. No real investment. So Yaradua, that they claim is your best president for reducing the price of petroleum from 97 naira to 87 naira. And that's why he did, and he gave them amnesty in Niger Delta. That made him the best president in Nigeria. So he died. But his retrogressive decisions, Nigerians are still paying for it. The northern Nigeria is still paying for it up to today. 8 solid years, Boko Haram never invested in any real thing in northern Nigeria. No real thing. Not power, not education, not healthcare, nothing. They are more interested in, rather than invest in all those things, these criminals appointed from northern Nigeria, they were busy looting Nigeria, enriching themselves like never seen before. And the poverty in that part, oh dear, the insecurity and the terror, it was like, oh my God, out of this world. So now that entitled brat is there trying to sound educated. Why I hear that they are trying to invest, we have been promised to invest in Guinea and all of that. Well, anyway, this one had something to say, okay, or something.
I think we started too late. I will agree with the fact that now we've started taking the right steps, but too late, because we ought to have started taking those steps years back. The starting point is to realize clearly that the world is actually going off-grid. The direction of the world is to go completely off-grid. And I was kind of encouraged by the position of the minister recently when he declared that, the country will be looking in the direction of state grid, regional grid, and what have you. And that's like almost 19 years late, because all this had been advocated right from the time of the late Yaradua. Though we liken it to our own pipeline, which is very weak. Any attempt to put petroleum product in is going to bust. The same thing for our transmission infrastructure. It's very weak. And I had a kind of a problem with the policy direction. Of course, when we headed in the direction of Manitoba Hydro for transmission management contract, I kicked against it. They said maybe because of my other part. Of course, I wanted to publish it directly in Manitoba. I did. I published Manitoba, University of Manitoba Law Journal. I wanted to tell the Canadian audience that they were not going to be successful with their attempt in Nigeria. They thought, me won't, don't. I said, well, I think I hold the country that patriotic duty to tell the world the truth. And I said Manitoba Hydro was going to die a natural death. Manitoba Hydro died a natural death. Nobody knew what happened to the transmission management contract. The same transmission infrastructure. Thereafter, forth and back, not the current administration, then we had the Siemens. And myself and Raywan, we were in another, Bismarck, we were in another studio. Well, like I said, I wasn't as optimistic as to the miracle that the Siemens was going to do. Because the evidence is there. I mean, I can't really feel it. And now, Siemens has been there for the same transmission overhaul or enhancement or whatever. The world, we actually need to embark on transmission disembarkation. Just get off completely from this transmission thing. Because the same thing when we had problems with our refineries. We turn it around, we turn it in, we turn it out. Oh, you know what? Let's now look the way of Dangote's and the modular refineries and the rest. So I foresee a situation in which we'll actually start a gradual phasing off of our grid, because it's very weak and dilapidated. We have idle megawatts that cannot go on the grid. Any attempt to put idle megawatts on the national grid is going to bust. And last 3 weeks when we had 2 weeks when we had this kind of blackout, I did the mathematics. I felt the current tradition has actually fared slightly well, because previously I predicted like 15, 16, in October. Up until recently, we had about 10, and there's a kind of slight drop in it. But this one was, of course, according to the press statement that you read, which I also read, was due to an attempt to put things right. But then, too late. But I agree with the fact that we started doing the right thing, particularly under the current.
All talks, but he says something meaningful. I mean, number one, your national grid will continue to collapse. But let's assume I want to give you an idea. And it's not that you watching me will be the one to implement the idea, but just for this conversation, okay, so that you will know. Nigeria needs to break up so many things. Break it up and break it up that we talk about. Break it up to save lives. It's for so many things. Number one, electricity should be generated. If electricity is generated in a place, it should be sold to the people there. There are so many means of generating electricity. You see this transmission, transferring light, electricity from Enugu, Abia State, Imo State, to transfer them to northern Nigeria. generate electricity from Kereku, generate electricity from Ogun State, Lagos State, and then begin to mount wires like all these cables to be transmitting them to northern Nigeria is so archaic, so old. But because Nigeria is a place where the whole arrangement is to rob Peter to pay Paul. The northern Nigeria is the poor husband. The southern Nigeria is the rich wife. So they cannot separate them. The northern Nigeria will suffer. This is the narrative of the criminal politicians in Nigeria. And they believed it. They believed that narrative. Like, in Kano State alone, Kano alone, they have more than 29 dams. Yeah, you heard me right. 29, Kano has more than 29 dams. That 14 of them alone, if it's put to real use, can generate more than 200 megawatts of electricity. That is this one, 15, that one 20, this one 30, this one 80, that other one maybe 50 megawatts. The whole of Kano is believed that the whole of Kano needs just about 100. As big as Kano is, they only need about 100, and I don't think they should. That's even enough. But yeah, that's what they said. They need just 150 megawatts of electricity, and the entire Kano will have 24 hours electricity. 24 hours. So if they have dams that can generate more than 200 megawatts, that means the smaller state next to them, they can sell the 50 megawatts to them. Kelbio, Shokoto, all these places, they can build their own dams. Or just kind of go solar. But no, they are waiting for the cable coming from Enugu to supply them electricity. They are waiting for cables of electricity generated in Aba to come and supply them electricity in Kaduna. Meanwhile, they can actually let everybody, like, come on, man, generate your own electricity in your place. Give the license to people who are ready to generate them. Stop talking about this, your national grid. Because what they usually do is that if you are generating electricity in Ogun State, even as a private electricity company, you are expected to sell it to them, National Grid, Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, a politically created body, to buy it from you. Buying it from you means they will say you should link it to the national grid, those cable, those power line. And then they will now transfer it to wherever they want to transfer it to. That is so old. When you break up the contraption, there will be so much massive development, even starting with this electricity of a thing. Ogun State have the capacity to generate more than 800 megawatts of electricity. Guess what? Ogun State, that has the highest concentration of manufacturing companies in the whole of Nigeria, is massive. And I don't know if they still hold that though, because I think a lot of things have happened lately. Agbara business, the business area alone, the whole electricity needed to run Agbara 24/7 is less than 150 megawatts of electricity. The whole of Ogun State is probably, they won't need more than 250, 300 megawatts of electricity. And they will have 24 hours electricity. 24 hours. Well, no. If they generate electricity in Ogun State, it must be transferred to Sokoto. See the distance from Sokoto to Ogun State. Do you know how many hundreds of kilometers? And they all say it, half of what they are transmitting to this northern Nigeria, half of it is possibly lost in transit, which could have people, the people living in Papalanto, they are living in darkness. There is electricity generating plant in Papalanto in Ogun State. Because if anything is generated here at all, it has to be transferred to the northern Nigeria. They make the northern Nigeria so dependent, so poor, that it's like a badge of honor. The north is poor, the north cannot survive. We need to give it to them. The criminal politicians. So when you break up the contraption, you can just imagine the level of development, the level of growth that will happen. And if you are having so much production from every corner of that place, right? I mean, come on. People will have jobs. The economy of everyone will improve. And you don't have to kind of be a prayer warrior to have a better life. It's so simple. It's so easy that way. But the way they structure that contraption, the fake Nigeria, is that the northern Nigeria is the poor husband. Southern Nigeria is the rich wife. So they can't separate them. They can never break. They can and that is why Shitty Man was in Ogbomoso today. He flew to Ogbomoso. He flew to Kwara State, Ilorin, then took a long convoy ride to Ogbomoso, not to go and commission any business or power station. He went there to go and commission a mosque.